The Myriad Forms. At this stage in the development of the universe, there was no such likelihood of any creatures appearing, so I will take the liberty of editing this Dao Creation Myth to mean the birth of the Myriad Forms, although perhaps Myriad Creations might be an even better term to use. From these basic elements just revealed, the universe is nothing other than various arrangements of them, all relating with each other in terms of their capacity to do so. In scientific terms, that capacity is called valency, and it allows atoms to relate with other atoms to make molecules that in turn make all kinds of matter with vast and varying properties. The bonding process by which this happens is well known and a field of study of its own accord. As such, there is no requirement for me to say anything further on this topic, except to suggest that the way in which atoms and molecules come together to make new compounds and materials may be one that is more closely related to our own experience than we might first imagine, or than we are told by science. The way in which everything forms in existence is a process more akin to things like capacity, tendency, willingness, agreement, and cooperation. These are all aspects of intelligent creative consciousness, the essence of which we can all know and relate to because of the fact that we are this consciousness. To demonstrate, let us consider a group of people who have come together from all walks of life. As this analogy goes, this group would be representative of a variety of different atoms. There would be numerous things that such a group might be able to express in terms of some new thing, but what will influence any particular expression are the factors we mentioned above. First, there would be the capacity that those people have to link or connect with each other, and that would depend upon their physical, emotional, or mental ability to do so. That capacity would equate to valency, as previously mentioned. Further, there would be specific tendencies which some individuals have due to their particular makeup, in the same way that various atoms have tendencies to either lose or gain electrons. The intentions and willingness of the individuals within our group to actuate or do something is another factor. If there is no willingness, nothing will happen. With willingness, something can be determined and come forth, but only if there are agreements made for certain individuals to do certain things, and the success of the endeavour will depend upon the cooperation of all those people in the moment to perform in the way that has just been agreed. The way in which information becomes available and is shared so that new elements and materials may be discovered and formed relates back to the creative process at the beginning of this work. To understand it now in terms of where we are in our development would be to see that the universe was a growing, evolving and inseparably interconnected conscious entity. In effect, it was a giant brain, and every point within it embodied the potential to process information and have experience. Experimentation and learning in every place and at every level throughout, whilst local in that place, was something that also unavoidably contributed to total universal experience and knowledge. That knowledge could then be used where and when appropriate to further aid specific creative undertakings anywhere they may be required. What is important to note here is that each level of consciousness, as defined by size and vibration, was and is complete and perfect at its own level and place. From that place, the perspective is an awareness of anything below or within itself, but no awareness of anything above or higher than it. For example, the consciousness, or indeed the spirit, that supports and controls deuterium is effectively a completely functional world unto itself, unaware of the greater whole that it exists within. The spirit of uranium is also a world unto itself that is inclusive of the worlds of everything under or within it, i.e. all the other elements of equal or less atomic mass. As each atom, molecule, form, plant, and ultimately every animal developed and came into being, so too the supporting group consciousness of each grew and emerged with them. Every stage of this growth meant greater awareness and control of the matter at hand by that particular group spirit, and this is the way that all the myriad forms and ultimately the creatures too have come to be. Let's consider then the reality of the situation in its totality at this point. We have an expanding universe due to the initiating movement of intention, which creates a pull toward the centre as gravity. This is represented as the whole or host firmament. There are an infinite number of firmaments within, which appear as quanta and couplings in space that forms a kind of primal plasma, and perhaps there are already various simple combinations of these emerging as basic atoms due to the natural evolutionary drive. These particles are affected by the firmamental structure of the host and subject to increasing density, heat and pressure toward the centre. This pressure then begins to mutate, forge and fuse simple hydrogen atoms, couplings, into something completely different. From it emerges a new element known as helium, and the process releases considerable energy as heat and light. This process is called nuclear fusion, and when the outward push of this fusion energy overrides the gravity of the host expression, guess what happens? A star is born. Now that's pretty cool, and also a process that is fairly well understood by scientists today. What is also very cool, but far less understood, is that stars could now appear wherever and whenever because they had been discovered, experienced, and now existed as knowledge in the universal mind. And with the knowledge of elemental systems, the beginnings of planetary systems could also begin to form. It has been observed and documented by astronomers that this universe of ours constitutes billions of galaxies, each containing billions of stars, some of which have planets orbiting them and appear as a variation of what we see and know as our own solar system. Although it may be interesting to some, I do not think that it would ever be possible for us to work out the exact order of appearance of these cosmic bodies since the beginning. And neither do I think that it is important to do so, at least no more important than it might be to work out and know the exact order in which a person may have decorated their home. In both cases, it is simply a creative act of consciousness arranging matter to suit itself. While it is not at all important for us to know the order of the appearance of things, what is important, or at least far more interesting, is for us to see that all the galaxies, stars and planetary systems have come into being gradually over time due to the creative drive and natural curiosity of intelligent consciousness, and not because of random, violent, undirected explosions that seem to be a part of the more accepted theories at present. The universe is a beautiful, intelligent, creative and evolving entity, and the current theories that talk of cooling hot matter flung out from nowhere in a nanosecond and for no reason, swirling gases in which accidental occurrences brought forth planets and life forms, are clunky, inelegant and incomplete. A complete theory of everything will not only unify the forces in the universe and reconcile contradictory but otherwise accurate theories, it will also be something simple and beautiful. And although it might be unconventional and a stretch to the conditioned mind, it will, at a deeper level, make sense. In the next section, we see how our solar system developed as an intelligent expression and exploration of consciousness.